Welcome back to the online sessions on signals and systems. In today's session, we'll try to cover the properties of the Laplace transforms. So, as I spoke in the last class about the properties of Fourier transforms, and the properties of Laplace transforms are simply going to follow the properties of the properties of the Laplace transform simply going to follow the properties of the Fourier transforms. Why? Because both of them are normally going to represent the frequency domain representation of the time domain signal. So therefore almost the properties are going to be same. So if you know one, you can easily get it going with the other properties in the, like in the case of the Laplace transforms as well. So before we go to the properties, let us try to discuss about the comparisons between the Fourier transforms and the Laplace transforms. So the first comparison what we can have is Fourier transforms. Fourier transforms are normally used to represent the periodic signals. What about Laplace transforms? Laplace transforms are also going to represent the periodic signals definitely. And Fourier transforms, for Laplace transforms, the region of convergence is going to exist in the case of the Laplace transforms, whereas region of convergence does not exist in the case of the Fourier transforms. Fourier transforms are represented along the j omega axis only, whereas Laplace transforms are going to represent along the sigma and j omega axis, and hence we represent Laplace transforms on the s domain or s plane. So that is what Laplace transforms, and both of them are used for a continuous time signals. Laplace transforms and Fourier transforms are used to represent the continuous signals. Okay, so these are the various comparative statements between the Laplace transforms and the Z transforms. Okay, so let us try to deal with the properties of the Laplace transforms. So it is almost same as the properties of Fourier transforms as I was talking to you. The first property is going to be, say, linearity property. What is linearity property? Imagine if there are two time domain signals. When these two signals are really going to get multiplied with some scalar constants A and B, the output of the system is also going to produce the respective transforms with the appropriate multiplication factors as a and b as well, same as the linearity property which we have discussed in the case discussed while we are discussing the Fourier transform properties. So therefore Laplace transform x of t is equal to integral of x of t into e power minus st dt is the basic formula. So what is x of t? I can take x of t is the entire term. Okay, x1 of t, x2 of t is the entire term, and initial conditions you have to write as it is. That means this is going to be true only if x1 of t is going to produce x1 of s, x2 of t is going to produce x2 of s, then this property is going to holds good. So that is what this, but anyway, this initial condition is going to be true for all the properties we are going to discuss. So we need not reiterate the same concept repeatedly here, that x1 of t is going to be the Laplace transform, x1 of s is going to be the Laplace transform of x1 of t, x2 of s is going to be the Laplace transform of x2 of t. So well, let us find out Laplace transform the overall function now. I can just simply separate out now the Laplace transform individual terms for x1 of t and x2 of t, and I can expand this as a and b are constants. We'll simply take it outside, and finally I can write what now? Simply integral of x1 of t e power minus st dt plus b into integral of x2 of t e power minus st. This is what is this? This is what the Laplace transform of x1 of t, which can be represented as x1 of s. This is called a Laplace transform x2 of s. So hence finally this particular equation holds good. Okay, so this is what called the linearity property. And similarly we are going to have a time shifting property. What it speaks about? Whenever there is a shifting of the time, whenever there is a shift in the whenever there is a shift in the time domain of the signal, then the same shift is normally going to seen in the frequency domain as e to the power minus e to the power same sign over here. If it is minus t naught, we'll be having e power minus s into t naught. If it's going to be plus t naught, it is going to be e power s into t naught. This is the case with the time shifting property. Similarly, you can shift the frequency domain also. If there is a shift in the frequency domain, on the time domain, you're going to see with the opposite sign. That is what the change you have to really observe. So if there is a shift in the frequency domain, on the time domain, you're going to have e power. If there is a minus t naught, you're going to have plus t naught here. If there is going to be plus t naught, plus omega naught, plus now actually here we are representing with respect to s domain. Because it is s domain, we represent always in terms of s. So if you write the frequency shifting property, how you write now? Just if you remember this formula, if you know the time shifting property, you can as well write the frequency shifting property by seeing time shifting property. Or if you know frequency shifting property, you can write the time shifting property. It is as good as simple as saying that. So therefore, if the same equation after I want to write it for the frequency shifting property, what I'll write now? X of s minus s naught is normally going to form a pair with e to the power plus s naught into x of t, no, x of t. That's what we'll write. So this is what the basic forms we can have. Now let us try to go with the time shifting property. If there is a shift in the time domain of minus t naught, the time domain shift is seen on the frequency domain as e to the power minus s into t naught. That means so many infinite number of complex components are normally going to exist around that particular time period t naught. That is what our consideration of the frequency domain representation, which is going to be there at the time domain. See, simple concept here is that whenever you pass any time domain signal through a system, the output of a system is always going to produce a complex component. So complex component means what? E power minus st naught or e power minus j omega t, like that we normally going to have. Why? Because so many number of components is simply going to get added up to the actual signal. So all these signals are going to be what now? Inter signals, inter channel signals, or noise signals, anything it could be. So therefore all of them put together simply becomes like a complex component. So if you apply only a single frequency signal at the input, but output of the system is always going to produce a complex signal. So this is what the reality, that reality we normally going to observe when you see them onto the appropriate device at the output instead of CRO. CRO is normally meant to see the output on the time domain. So on the frequency domain, if at all you wanted to see, you have to see with the frequency synthesizer circuits or frequency analyzers. So by using frequency analyzers, we normally going to see the frequency components which are going to get added to the input signal. Okay, so that's mathematically the same thing we are seeing on the seeing with the exponential component. That is what the thing we should remember always in this particular the Fourier transforms as well as Laplace transforms. In fact, for Z transforms as well. Okay, let us apply this now. Laplace transform x of t minus t naught is equal to integral of x into, basic formula is x into e power minus st dt. So x of t I can write as x of t minus t naught. So let us make the substitutions for dummy variables with dummy variables and bring back to this particular form. So how do we do it now? T minus t naught is made equal to some tau dummy variable, and this, thereby I can write this small t is equal to capital tau my plus t naught, and if you differentiate this, dt is equal to d tau, where t naught is going to be the fixed component. So therefore differentiation of fixed is going to be constant. So once we are finding out the value at a particular instance t naught, that has to be fixed. So therefore t naught we are going to keep as fixed or a constant. Therefore that won't come in the differential part. So therefore Laplace transform of tau, what is t minus t naught? It is tau. So I can write as tau integral of x of tau e to the power minus s of, what is that I can write here as this dt I can represent as d tau. See, this dt I can represent as simply d tau. So here t is nothing but what I can have? T is nothing but equal to small t is equal to tau plus t naught. So tau plus t naught I can write. So I can just simply separate them out, and I can bring this in the form of a, once again, Laplace transform equation, basic equation. What is the basic Laplace transform equation? It is with respect to tau. The dependent parameter is going to be tau here. So all other than tau is going to be constants here, independent parameters. So therefore, e power minus s into t naught is a independent parameter here in this equation, because this integral is with respect to d tau. So tau is a variable. So keeping tau as a variable inside the integration, I'll take this e power minus s t naught outside. That's it. Now, what is this formula now? This is the formula for the Laplace representation x of s. So that means if you have a shift in the time domain, you're going to see that shift in the frequency domain as e to the power minus s into t naught. Similarly, if there is a shift in the time domain with plus t naught, you're going to see e power minus s into t naught. So that means similar to this, we go with the another property called a frequency shifting property. I straight away move to frequency shifting property to have a comparing and contrasting. See here, there is a shift of minus s naught here. There is a shift seen on the time domain as e to the power s into t naught. In the case of the previous one time domain, what we have seen? We have seen x of t minus t naught is normally going to form a pair with e to the power minus s into t naught. So in the time domain, if there is a minus t naught, in the frequency domain, e power minus t naught you will be getting. If it is plus t naught in the time domain, we got a plus t naught here. But exactly reverse is happening in the case of the frequency shifting property. Now this property is going to speak about like if there is a shift in the frequency of s naught, the same thing is been seen on the time domain as something like this. If there is a minus s naught shift in the frequency domain, you're going to find a plus e to the power plus s naught t in the time domain. Okay. So this property we normally going to see. Now I can write as Laplace transform of this entire signal is my signal is going to be this. Now I'll take this signal. So you should remember this particular frequency shifting properties to prove one other than from one to other to another, like that. You should remember the formulas better. Now let us apply the Laplace transform to this. Integral of x of t e power minus st dt. X of t is equal to e to the power s naught t into x of t. So here I have e to the power, here I have e to the power. So I can simply add up these two. So if I take minus as common, s minus s naught of t I can write. Okay. Now what is this now? This is the formula for the Laplace transform. If you have minus st, you'll be having x of s. You have s minus s naught, the same s minus s naught will be coming over here. That's it. So that means here we have got the equation here as if there is a shift in the s domain of minus s naught, the same thing is seen in the time domain as x of t into e to the power s naught plus s naught into t. Right? Just exactly similarly what I can do now, if there is a shift in the time domain, if there is a shift in the frequency domain of plus s naught, there will be a shift in the time domain of minus s naught. Okay, so this is what the property which we have, which is these two properties are very, very important properties, time shifting properties and frequency shifting properties. Now, if you are talking in terms of Fourier transforms, what we have got now, we can write this as x of, there what we have written, x of omega minus omega naught. So if it is x of omega minus omega naught, we are considering only the j omega part, frequency component, not the sigma part in the case of the Fourier transforms. So the same thing I can write it here as e power omega naught t into x of t. So that's what the form we have in the case of the Fourier transforms, which means what? Both of them are going to be exactly same. If you know one, you can easily get into the another Fourier transforms. But in the examination, sometimes he's going to ask both the Fourier transforms as well as the Laplace transforms. So for short answer questions, he'll ask us the Fourier transform properties. For long answer questions, he may ask us the Laplace transform properties or vice versa. Okay, so therefore you have to remember compulsorily properties. Okay, and try to compare the properties of Fourier and Laplace and remember them in a logical manner. Don't remember them as if like an equation and you have to easily mug up all this. No, mugging up will never really fetches anything here. Remember it logically as a concept, and rest of them has to be derived based on the basic equations. Okay, because we are using mathematics as a tool. So using mathematics as a tool, we are representing the concept. We are representing the concept of the Fourier transforms, representing the concept of the Laplace transforms. So these two concepts are simply telling us whether the the values of a signal is going to exist or not, or whether the signal is going to exist or not. So this is what we normally going to finally find out. Okay. So that is the conclusion we're going to have. Now let us look back to the previous two properties now. Time scaling property, time reversal property. Time scaling exactly same as the time scaling, time reversal, everything is same. No changes will be there. So therefore now time scaling property means what? If these two are going to form a Laplace transform pair, it is written mistakenly FT. It should be Laplace transform LT. So x of AT I can write as is equal to 1 by mod A x of S minus A. So that is these two are going to form the Laplace transform pair called LT, not FT. So therefore next is what? Laplace transform x of AT is equal to general formula. I can just simply write it over here. Okay. Now I can write AT is equal to tau. Therefore, I can just simply find out the differential component dt. AT, A small t is equal to tau. So therefore, I can write dt is equal to d tau by A. So dt I can replace by d tau by A. T is equal to simply tau by A. I can write t is equal to simply, here I have t. So t I can replace it by tau by A. That's all. So this is with respect to tau. This integration is with respect to tau. So therefore, except tau, 1 by A is there here. So 1 by A, I'll take it outside. Limits are extending from minus infinity to plus infinity. Therefore, I'm considering mod A because A is going to take, minus t value as well as plus t value. Therefore, I can consider it as mod A. Integral of x of tau e to the power minus s by A tau d tau. So this is nothing but the 1 by A as it is 1 by A x of s form down exactly. Instead of s, what I have? S by A I have. So therefore, I normally going to have the x by A form. So this is what the Laplace transform basic equation. So this is what the Laplace transform property called time scaling property. The next one is time reversal property. What is time reversal? If x of t is going to produce x of s, then x of minus t is going to produce x of minus s. It is quite simple here. So Laplace transform of x of minus t, I can write it as something like x of minus t as it is e to the power minus st dt. So minus t I can write as is equal to tau. So when I simply substitute it now, Laplace transform of x of tau, I can write x of tau e to the power minus s. What about t here? T is equal to minus tau, so I can write minus tau d tau minus into minus plus. So I can have here as x of minus s. If it is e power minus st, I'll be having x of s. Remember? So here I have e power plus st. So therefore, I'll be having e power minus s. So therefore, if there is a time reversal in time domain, exactly reversal is going to take place in the frequency domain as well, in the case of the Laplace transforms. Same equation we have got, same relationship we have got, not equation exactly, same relationship we got it for the Fourier transform properties also. Now another important property is going to be differentiation in time domain, differentiation in the frequency domain. So these two are going to play a vital role for us And the convolution property is almost all same as once again convolution property which we have dealt in the case of the Laplace transforms. So the time, the differentiation in time domain and differentiation in the frequency domain are proper equations for initial value theorem and final value theorem. So we'll end up our class with initial value theorem and final value theorems. After we complete the properties, we can deal with those two basic concepts. Okay. So differentiation in time domain. So in the, we have to differentiate the time domain signal d by dt. It is going to produce s into x of s. Let us see how it is going to produce. Laplace transform d by dt of x of t is equal to, it is something like if the d by dt of x of t is nothing but my signal, this signal into e power minus st dt. So I can convert this into uv form. So uv form is what? u into integral of v dt. So integral of v dt means what? X of t I can write over the limits minus infinity plus infinity minus of integral of d by dt of u integral of v dt. That's the formula. Integral of v dt is what? Once again x of t. Differentiation of this is equal to minus s of e to the power minus st. So this is the equation I get. All right. So this entire equation simply goes to 0. Then we left over with this part, second term, minus into minus plus s into integral of x of t power minus st dt. So s into what is this now? X of s. So therefore, differentiation in time domain is normally going to form a pair with the frequency domain as s into x of s. Very, very important relationship for the initial value theorem to consider. The next one is going to be differentiation in the s domain property. If you differentiate in the s domain, how it is going to be seen? T into x of t in the time domain. If you differentiate in time domain, we see x into x into s of s. That means it is very easy to remember also, right? So it is going to be vice versa kind of a situation here. Well, so Laplace transform x of t is equal to x of s into, this is the equation we are going to have, right? So now let us differentiate LHS and RHS of this equation with respect to s. So d by ds of x of s, d by ds of this entire integration I can have. Okay. So this d by ds is integral with respect to s. So therefore I'll interchange differential integration here so that I differentiate with respect to s here. So therefore d by ds of x of s is equal to, what is that? I can have x of t into this part, what I can have now, differentiation minus t into e power minus st dt. So what is that I can have? D by ds of x of s is equal to, t is a variable here. We are differentiating, we are integrating with respect to t. So minus t x of t e power minus st dt. So this is what the Laplace transform equation for x into e power minus st dt is, the Laplace transform of x of s. So similar to that, I can write here as something like d by ds of x of s is equal to, it's nothing but Laplace transform of minus t into x of t. So therefore, this minus, when I take it onto this side, I can just simply write it as minus d by ds of x of s. So these two are normally going to form the Laplace transform pairs. Then another important property is going to be the convolution property. The convolution property is also in time domain. So it is exactly same as the convolution property we dealt in the case of the Fourier transform properties. So let us complete this particular part to end up our session today. So Laplace transform of x1 of t, convolution with x2 of t. Convolution means what? We keep one signal as a fixed signal. Another signal we normally, by using another signal we scan the x1 of t. So that means we normally going to keep on shifting x2 of t with time domain. And we normally going to scan the signal with respect to this signal. So wherever we get a multiplication value of these two, there we normally going to get the multiplication of these two signals. What is multiplication? 3 into 4. Instead of 3 into 4, I have two signals. Whenever I have two signals, what should I do now? I have to scan one signal onto another signal. So here I am scanning x2 of I am scanning x1 of t using x2 of t. So wherever I have the area of these two, resultant area of these two, there we get a convoluted signal. So that is what the basic form we have, and we are simply writing in the time domain convolution signals. That's it. So after this, the process is going to be exactly same as the process which we have used in the case of the Fourier transforms. Just to take a dummy variable and replace all dummy variables, just simply bring it in the form like this, separate out independently. So they simply come out like a independent events. So on the frequency domain, the Fourier transforms of these, the not Fourier Laplace transforms, the Laplace transforms of these two independent of these two signals will be coming as a two independent signals. So multiplication of two independent signals. So therefore I can say the convolution in the time domain is nothing but equal to multiplication in the frequency domain. Same thing is true for the Fourier transforms as well. Okay. So this is what the properties which are very important for us to deal with. Okay. So other properties are their integration property, in the S domain, in the T domain, it's going to be same as the integration properties which we have dealt in the Fourier transforms as well. So, but among all this, up to here is going to be very important for us. And last one more concept is going to be like, the transfer function. What is basically a transfer function? Transfer function gives a relationship between the output to the input, the output to the input. If the transfer function is represented in the S domain, so output in S domain to the input in S domain. So this is the simply in terms of equation, it is the ratio of the output to the input. And in the case of the definition, it gives a relationship between input and the output is known as the transfer function. So in the exam, he'll ask us in 2 marks, define the transfer function. Define the transfer function of an LTI system using Laplace transforms or using Fourier transforms. So how you define that? You simply say that using convolution now. We imagine that x1 of t is the input signal, h of t is the impulse response of the LTI system. Now, when you are normally going to pass this x1 of t through h of t system, then the characteristics of h of t are multiplied with the signal, and the result is going to be what now? This is nothing but convolution. Convolution is equal to multiplication, I can write. So therefore, what you can have now, this is nothing but the solution of the system or output of the system. Output of the system I can write as is equal to y of s, which is equal to x of s into h of s. So x of s is Laplace transform of x of t. H of s is nothing but the Laplace transform of h of t system. H of t is the system, not the signal, because h of t resembles the impulse response of an LTI system. That is what called the h of t representation. Okay. So using this, I can write h of s is equal to y of s by x of s. This is the representation of the system. So whenever system comes into picture, this h of t or h of omega or h of s should come into picture for us. Okay. Well, so with this, we'll stop our discussion today. Okay, in the next class, we'll do one more small topic that is called the initial value theorem and final value theorem to end up this particular Laplace transforms and the Fourier transforms chapter. Thank you very much for today's session.